This is the listening test for levels from 3 to 5 of the Vietnam 6-level language proficiency test. There are 3 parts to the test. You will hear each part once. For each part of the test there will be time for you to look through the questions and time for you to check your answers. Write your answers on the question paper. You will have 5 minutes at the end of the test to transfer your answers onto the answer sheet. The recording will now be start. Please ask any question now, because you must not speak during the test. Now open your question paper and look at part 1. There are 8 questions in this part. For each question there are 4 options and a short recording. For each question, choose the correct answer A, B, C or D. You now have 45 seconds to look through the questions and the options in each question. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully.
Look at question 1. 1. Which box of chocolates do they buy?
Which box of chocolate shall we get Mum for her birthday?
Those round boxes with the flowers on are nice.
Yes, but that square box is cheaper.
But it's Mum's birthday. Let's get the big round one. We've got enough money.
OK.
2. When's Wendy's birthday?
Wendy, you're 21 on Saturday, aren't you?
No, my birthday's on May the 18th.
Well, Saturday is the 18th.
No, it's not. It's the 16th. 3. How much petrol does the woman want?
Could you put 30 litres of petrol in my car, please?
Did you say 13 litres?
No, 30 litres. Fill it up, please.
Four. What time is the woman's hair appointment?
I'd like to make an appointment to have my hair cut, please. This Friday or Saturday in the morning, if you can manage it.
Let me see. We can do Friday at 10 or 11:30. Then on Saturday there's 9:30 or 12 o'clock.
I'll take the earlier one on Saturday, please.
5. Where's the TV guide?
Have you seen the TV guide?
Isn't it on top of the television? I had it when I was watching the film last night.
I expect you left it by your chair then. Here it is under the cushion where nobody can find it. You should put it back in its place by the telephone. Then we'd all know where it is.
6. What does the man decide to take Tracy?
I'm going to see Tracy in hospital, but I can't think of what to take her. People always take flowers.
So she'll have lots already for sure. I always think it's nice to have something to read myself, but as Tracy's got her Walkman with her, what about something to listen to?
What a good idea. It's better than taking sweets, certainly, because I know she's on a special diet while she's in hospital.
7. Which sport has the man just started?
Hi, how was your holiday?
Great. Really good windsurfing and sailing. You know how much I enjoy them. And horse riding. I really want to go again now I've tried it. And the swimming pool was wonderful too. Much warmer than the one I usually swim in. Holidays are just too short.
8. What was damaged in the storm?
Was the roof of your house all right after the storm, Anna?
I saw a workman there with a ladder today.
I'd had the roof repaired recently, so that wasn't a problem. The workman was putting some new glass in an upstairs window. I think a branch from a tree broke it when it fell off in the wind. I was quite lucky. It didn't damage my car, which was parked right under the tree.
That is the end of part 1. Now turn to part 2. You will hear 3 different conversations. In each conversation there are 4 questions. For each question, choose the correct answer A, B, C or D. You will hear the conversations only once. Now open your question paper and look at the conversation 1. You now have 25 seconds to look through the questions and the options in each question. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully.
John!
Oh, Louise, hi.
I've just arrived from my singing lesson with Mrs. Thompson. What are you doing here?
I've come for a singing lesson too.
Well, if it's a secret, I won't tell anyone.
It's okay, Louise. I'm going to be in a musical show, so everyone will know soon.
Really? But can you actually sing then?
Well, I was taught to sing at school, you know, but now I'm in the show, I thought I'd better have a few more lessons.
Good idea. What do you think of Mrs. Thompson? She's really strict, isn't she?
She is, but I think if you want to sing properly, then she's the best teacher. You don't have to like her to see that she's really brilliant.
Oh, I suppose so. It's just that she makes me feel so nervous. How did you get chosen for the show?
Well, I went to see a few musical shows before Christmas. I don't know why, because I'd never really liked them before. And I thought I'd like to do that. So I tried for a part in the show at the Regent Theatre, and got it.
Well done. So have you actually done a show yet?
Yes, we've done a practice show just for family and friends.
So how did you feel?
Well, when we'd finished, I wanted to cry because I was so delighted that I'd actually got through it without making any big mistakes.
But did people like it?
Yes, they did. And it was great to have an audience.
I would love to be able to sing and have everybody listen and clap.
It's quite hard to do a musical show, actually. You have to dance as well as sing. It's hard work to get it right.
Oh, I wouldn't be keen on that. I'm only a singer, really. When does the show open?
On the 9th of October. Would you like a couple of free tickets?
Oh, yes, thanks.
Now open your questions paper and look at conversation 2. You now have 25 seconds to look through the questions and the options in each question. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully.
I'm talking to Jackie Gould, who's a very proud mother. Both of her daughters, Olivia, aged 12, and Alicia, 7, are currently appearing on the stage of the world-famous London Palladium Theatre in the musical The Sound of Music. Olivia and Alicia survived 6 auditions to be picked from 1,000 hopefuls for the group of 7 children playing the Von Trapp family in the show. So, how did it all come about?
Well, until last year, the idea of them appearing at the London Palladium would have been unthinkable for our family. Things started to happen when Olivia auditioned for a production of the show Annie at the local theatre. She auditioned for the chorus and by chance got the leading role instead.
That's a very big role, the leading one in Annie, isn't it?
Yes. For Annie, Olivia had to learn more than 200 lines. She was on stage for most of the 2-hour show. It was a big script, and I decided that we'd do 10 pages a night. After memorising it, I gave her a random line. She would have to tell me what the next line was. She picked it all up even better than her homework.
And she did well in the part, presumably.
She was great in the part. Everyone was astonished by her performance, including us. She had always been very shy, and she suddenly came out of her shell. We found that she could really sing. A member of the stage management team for the show was taking over a local agency and asked her to sign up. So then she had an agent to represent her and try to get roles for her.
OK, so what happened next?
Well, Olivia was turned down for a part in the musical Mary Poppins. She reached the last 10 for the role of Jane Banks. She didn't get the part and was distraught. But she quickly picked herself up, and then we took both children to the Palladium auditions for The Sound of Music.
Now open your questions paper and look at Conversation 3. You now have 25 seconds to look through the questions and the options in each question. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully.
Hello, Kira. How are you?
Fine, thanks, Paul. How are you?
Well, thanks. It's good to see you. It must be 12 months since you did our course.
That's right. It's nice to come back and say hello.
What course did you enroll in?
Actually, I went straight into third-year pharmacy. They credited me with 2 years, which probably made it more difficult for me.
On the other hand, you were lucky to be granted credits. Is that why you chose the course?
Yes, and as I'd already finished a course in it in my country, I thought it would be easier if I studied something I already knew.
I didn't realize you went into third year. I thought you started in first year. No wonder it was so hard. And what do you think is one of the big differences between studying at a university here and studying in your country?
Well, I found it very difficult to write assignments because I wasn't familiar with that aspect of the system here. The main problem is that the lectures expect you to be critical. That made me feel really terrible. I thought, how can I possibly do it? How can I comment on someone else's research when they probably spent 5 years doing it? I think a lot of people who come from overseas countries have similar problems. But after a while, it became easier for me. People expect you to have problems with the process of reading and writing, but in fact, it is more a question of altering your viewpoint towards academic study.
How was the content of the lectures? Was it easy for you?
I didn't really have many problems understanding lectures. The content was very similar to what I'd studied before.
And what about the lecturers themselves? Are they essentially the same as lecturers in your country?
Well, actually, no. Here they're much easier to approach. After every lecture, you can go and ask them something you didn't understand, or you can make an appointment and talk to them about anything in the course.
That is the end of part 2. Now turn to part 3. You will hear 3 different talks or lectures. In each talk or lecture there are 5 questions. For each question, choose the correct answer A, B, C or D. You will hear the talks or lectures only once. Now open your questions paper and look at talk or lecture 1. You now have 35 seconds to look through the questions and the options in each question. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully.
If you want to take an undergraduate course of study, you require a letter of recommendation from your principal and copies of your school records and exam results. You must, of course, demonstrate ability to communicate effectively in English. Different majors require different abilities in English. Undergraduate courses in science often require you to do a foundation year before you start the course, so that you achieve the requisite knowledge before you begin the courses. Degrees generally last 3 years, though the first year doesn't count towards your final marks. Application is always via UCAS, an organisation that handles all undergraduate students. Postgraduate application is via direct application to universities. They will require a minimum pass in your degree, certainly above average, and as with undergraduate courses, require a minimum level in your English ability. Most master's courses take 1 year, but some take 2, so be sure to take this into account when choosing. There are 2 systems of ranking, for universities' overall achievement and for each of their separate departments. Other kinds of information are available, like graduate employment statistics. Generally, British universities are generally respected globally, and there is an international ranking system that lists all the top universities in the world for you to check where your university places.
Now open your question paper and look at Talker Lecture 2. You now have 35 seconds to look through the questions and the options in each question. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully.
My name's Dan Pearman, and I'd like to talk about the work of Pedal Power, a small charity based mainly in the UK. I'll be giving our contact details at the end, if anyone would like to find out more about how to support us. But first, how the charity began. I got the idea of exporting bicycles to developing countries while I was in Ecuador. I went there in 1993, just after graduating from university. After 3 years of studying, I wanted adventure. I loved travelling, so I decided to join a voluntary organisation and was sent to Ecuador to carry out land surveys. The project came to an end after 5 years, and when I returned to the UK in 1998, I started planning Pedal Power. Where I lived in Ecuador was a very rural area. My neighbour had the only bicycle in the village, whereas everyone else walked everywhere. My neighbour's business was unusually successful, and for years I couldn't understand why. Then I realised having a bike meant he could get where he wanted to go without much trouble. Other local carpenters could only accept jobs in a 3-kilometre radius, so no matter how skilled they were, they could never do as many jobs as my neighbour. At Pedal Power, we collect second-hand bikes in the UK and send them to some of the poorest regions in the world. When we distribute bikes overseas, we don't give them away for free. We'd like to, but long-term that doesn't really help the local economy. The demand for bikes is enormous, which makes them very expensive locally. So we sell them for 5% of the normal price. But in order to continue operating, we need to have a constant supply of bikes which we send out every 6 months. One example of a town that's received bicycles from Pedal Power is Rivas. It was the first place I sent a full container of bicycles to. Most people there now own a bicycle. The local economy has developed so much you wouldn't recognize it as the same place. In fact, there are more bikes than on the streets of Amsterdam, if you've ever been there. But Pedal Power still needs your help. You may have read about some of our recent problems in the British media. In August 2000, we simply ran out of money. We had containers of bikes ready to send, but no money to pay the bills. It was a terrible situation. We managed to ensure the bikes went out on time, but the other problems carried on for several months.
Now open your question paper and look at Talker Lecture 3. You now have 35 seconds to look through the questions and the options in each question. Now we are ready to start. Listen carefully.
Today's Health Council is presented by Paula Clayburgh, who is the Chief Counsellor at Liverpool's famous pain clinic, the Wilton Clinic. Paula.
Do you know what Prince Charles, Sevi Ballesteros and Elizabeth Taylor have in common? They all suffer from chronic back pain. In fact, bad backs are one of the most common health problems today, affecting people in all walks of life. The most recent available figures show that about 250,000 people are incapacitated with back pain every day. And many sufferers don't know the cause or the solution to their problem. The majority of our patients at the clinic tend to be women. They are especially vulnerable because of pregnancy, but also because of osteoporosis, which I personally believe to be the major cause of problems for women. I have many women patients who say they have completely given up exercise because the pain makes them so miserable. But of course, that starts up a vicious circle. Bed rest, giving up exercise, and painkillers are traditional responses to back pain. But although there are many excellent drugs on the market, at our clinic we're beginning to realise the unique benefits of relaxation therapy. Other specialists in the field make a strong case for certain types of exercise, but in our experience they are easily mishandled and can lead to more harm than good. Now let's look at some of the reasons why back pain is developing into such a unique menace. In general, the body is pretty good at self-repair. A strain or a blow to a limb, though painful at the time, generally resolves itself. But the body's response to back injury can be very counterproductive. When pain strikes, we attempt to keep the back as immobile as possible, which makes the muscles tense up. Research shows that they often go into spasm, which causes further twisting of the spine. A vicious circle is underway. The second mistake we often make when stricken with extreme back pain is to go to bed and stay there. Although at the clinic we recognise that a short rest in bed can be helpful, up to 2 days, any longer makes our back muscles become weaker and unable to hold up our spine. The pain, therefore, becomes worse. Another problem is being overweight. Anyone a stone or more overweight who already has back pain is not doing himself any favours. Though it won't actually set it off in the first place, the weight will increase the strain and make things worse. The British diet could be partially to blame for the increase in back pain.
That is the end of part 3. Now you have 5 minutes to check your answers and transfer your answers onto the answer sheet.